All right. Hello, hello. We're back again. Let me turn on my camera. Okay. Today, we're going to do a full recipe. This is going to be a lean meatloaf, which you can also use turkey for instead. But I've got all my ingredients here ready to go for the most part. Note, I've never made this before. I'm just winging it. But it's mostly so you can learn how to make recipes and understand like raw versus cooked, stuff like that. So I'll be patching a couple videos together here as we go. So you won't notice except like when the patch takes over. Anyway, that's just me rambling. Okay, but the first thing I'm gonna do is weigh my dish that it's gonna cook in, because I wanna weigh after it's cooked too, so that I can find out the cooked weight in order to figure out what my servings are. So if you've watched my meatball videos, the ingredients are pretty similar here. You know, I'm obviously adding ketchup. It's a meatloaf. So it's basically, for me, this is like a big meatball, and I love meatballs, so it's gonna be great. Anyway, all right, not to be wasting your time, we're gonna weigh this dish and then note it on my dry erase board that's right next to my fridge. So here we go. Step 1, weigh the dish, 801. All right, so and I've got some other old stuff up here, that's fine, but my dish, let's go meatloaf dish, 800, actually it's 801 if you want to be specific here. 801 grams. All right, and then we're going to be noting some other stuff here too, maybe, if we need it. The other thing that we're going to do first is we are going to spray a little bit of spray oil. And if you also know me at all, you know that these oils are not free. So if you're counting oils, if you're not counting these spray oils, then talk to me. We need to fix that. So I'm going to find out how much spray I'm putting in here just by leaving the dish on, zeroing. So I'm going to try to lightly do this, but you know how these things are. So we'll see. All right, 1, 2, just want to try to get the edges. So far I've got a whole gram. Oh, looks like we're going to land on about 2 grams. All right, so if you're very careful here, you can get all the sides in only 2 grams of oil. That's great. So here's another thing I'll note. 2 gram oil. So that way, whenever I'm creating my recipe in the app, we won't forget about these important things, how heavy the dish is in our oil. All right, so I'm gonna turn this off, and then I will be back in a second. And then we'll be ready to put this together and then create the recipe in my Macros Plus. So let me get out of here. Okay, we're back. Now, let me show you where we're at now. Really, all I did was grab a bowl. So I have a bowl now, and so you can see here I've got 1 pound and almost a quarter of a lean beef here. I've already got, the thing you got to remember, which I have talked about in my previous recipe videos, is that you need to have all these ingredients in your customs and faves already, and I already have that. And so this video assumes that you have each of these things already listed in your customs and faves. So if you haven't done that yet, stop here and go back, watch the video on how to create a custom entry, and then that's my oven. And then once you figure that out and you have all of these items in your customs and faves, then you can come back and watch this. So from here, I'm gonna just dump the package in. I'm too lazy to do the conversion on the meat, you know, mathematically, pounds to grams. So I'm just gonna let the scale do this for me. All right, I just know it's 1 1/4 pounds-ish. So we have, I'm gonna note this for my, let me wipe my hands off on a towel that I have strategically placed. Okay, I'm noting how many grams of beef I've got in here. 542 on my board. Beef. And then I'm gonna also put how much ketchup and how much croutons I will use in a second. I'm just gonna be kind of putting in however much I think I need here. It's not, you know, it's kind of, I'm doing this on the fly, so. All right, so let's crack the egg. All right, that's fun. I'm doing this one-handed. Not very good at it. Got some shell in there. Bear with me here. I've been thinking about making this video to help with the cooked weights, so I'm just kind of doing it on the fly. I didn't plan. I'm just trying to get the shell. You can always watch me on a fast pace. You can speed me up. Okay, this is ridiculous. Just trying to get the shell. There it is. All right, success. Okay, croutons. I just went ahead and I popped this thing on the floor just like this, closed, and I stepped on it until it was dead. So you've got, I use croutons because it tastes better than, to me, than breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to sprinkle in however much I think I need. I kind of know just because I make meatballs so often, and this is about the same amount of beef I use. So I'm just going to I'm going to start with like 60. Let's see if that's enough. It looks like it, to me it looks like enough. Once I mix it, I'll know. So right now I've got 65, so I'm making a note on my board. Don't forget, 55, or 65, let's not be wrong. And then the ketchup, obviously I won't use that in the meatballs, but since this is a meatloaf, that's what you're supposed to use. Anyway, I've got this reduced sugar, reduced sodium. I usually use no sugar added. That is how your carbs get out of control, is the sugar that they add in everything. So I've zeroed my scale. I'm just winging it. Let's go with 34. Looks good to me. All right, let's do that. I'm gonna note it. 34. That's pretty much it. That's all I'm using. I've got my oil, beef, ketchup, croutons. I have an egg. I didn't weigh that, but I have one egg. But those are the things that we're gonna need to put in the recipe. So from here, what I'm gonna do is, not while on video, I'm going to mix this and then put it in my pan here. Sorry about the mess on the stove. I'm a messy person. And when we come back, it'll be in here, and then we'll cook it, and then we'll weigh it after, and then we'll see what to do. So meanwhile, let me mix this. I'll be right back. Stop video. All right, we're back. Surprise! Okay, and just like that, we have a meatloaf. Okay, so again, you know, I already noted the dish weight, and now I've zeroed out, and you know, with the oil and everything, I zeroed, and this is my raw weight in its entirety, 681. You don't necessarily need this. I like to put it down though. I'm putting it up here. I can't do two things at once. I'm putting it up here in case I need it later for anything. Probably won't though, because you essentially have all the raw weight. All these added up, basically beef, ketchup, croutons added up, minus the egg is really what this is. Well, with the egg, sorry, with the egg, duh. But yeah. So let's go now look at how do we enter all these ingredients into my Macros Plus. So, and then at the very tail end here, so what will happen is I'll let this cook, and then some of the water is going to evaporate out of it, and then we'll weigh it again, and we'll just subtract the dish off of the total. So let's go to my Macros Plus. Let's do this. All right, here we go. I have not logged anything today. I'm bad, so I'll do that after this. All right, so if we're creating a recipe, on the top left, I call it the hamburger, the 3 little bars at the top left, call it the hamburger. Everything's food. Okay, so right here, you're going to click on recipes, and we're gonna create new. So let's call this Jenny's Meatloaf. Yeah. And right now, I'm just going to put 3 zeros here, just because this is where we're actually going to put the finished weight right here, where it says total servings. We're just going to put the weight there, and I'll explain this after. But for now, what I am going to do is change serving name to grams. It's going to end up being grams. And if you don't have grams there, just delete it. So backspace and just type the word grams. All right, now we're gonna add our ingredients. We have 5 technically. All right, so add an ingredient, click on that, and then immediately go click on customs and faves. So it's gonna default to food search. We don't want that. Go to customs and faves. And because you have already put all of your items that are in this recipe in your customs and faves, then that means you don't have to go do a rando search or do some kind of quick, let me enter my stuff that I forgot to enter. Jenny said to create my items in my customs and faves, and so that's what I did. So you're smart. Well, you're smart anyway. But if you haven't done that yet, stop here and go cancel out and go put your items in your customs and faves. If that means going and searching and then putting a star, then do that, but make sure the entries are there and that they are right. Okay, now that I've had that moment, let's enter what our ingredients are. First is a whole egg, a whole medium egg. I don't weigh these because they're pretty fine. They're good. Sorry, it's not a medium, it's a large. I buy large, I just log a large. All right, so I've got a check mark. I found it, I put a check mark on it. Next, put on the search here, click X. Remember, you're in your customs and faves, so you're just using things that you already know are there. I've got lots of different beef here. I like to use leaner beef, so 93%, check mark. And now clear the search. You've got 2 check marks on things. You've got your egg, you've got your beef. Now we've got olive oil. Technically I'm using canola, but it's fine. Check mark. All right, clear that. What's next? Ketchup. I'm technically using reduced sugar. This is an entry that I actually copied, and you can see that it says 1 space 10 gram. It's because it was set up incorrectly, but I'm okay with that. I'm fine. I know that this is 10. So whenever I do correct this in the actual recipe, it's gonna be 3.5 of these. So that's probably confusing, but anyway, ketchup. I got my ketchup. Last thing is the croutons. I've already got them in here. Both of these are fine. They're the same. Okay, now we're done. Now, so from here, click the backward arrow, which is at the top left. So back arrow. Now, you're back in the main page where you were. So you've got your ingredients. Now we have to tell the system how many grams of each thing we use. So the egg's fine. The egg's already there. That's my cat yelling. Sorry if it sounds creepy. She's an old lady. Okay, beef. I had 542 grams. Save. Olive oil, 2. I had 2 grams. Save. Ketchup. This is going in 10 gram increments. I had 34 grams of ketchup, so I want 3.5. Yeah. And then croutons, 65. Save. All right. Now I'm going to leave everything else alone. Save. Please enter. Okay. All right. It doesn't like that. I was going to try that, but it didn't work. I'm just going to put 1. I'm leaving it alone. Yeah, I'm leaving that alone. Click done. Click save. And now you have your recipe. Jenny's meatloaf. So basically, right now, before we cook it, this is the entirety of the whole meatloaf. This is how many calories it is, how much protein, carbs, and fat it is. And when it's done, we will correct the grams in the raw weight, which is going to go into the servings. And I will show you that when it's done. So for now, we're going to go break while we let this thing cook, and I'll be back. Okay, we're back. We have a fully cooked meatloaf. Here we go. All right. I cooked to internal temperature. Since this is beef, I cooked to 140 or so inside. So I cooked at 350 it ended up being about 35 minutes. So anyway, this is it. And so right now, I'm just going to pop this onto the scale. It's got the pot holder on it so I don't kill it. All right, so what we're gonna do, 1450 right on the nose. All right, this is with the dish. So the first thing is I'm gonna note, remember our trusty board, so 1450. And then obviously we need to subtract the dish, which, yay, we've noted it was 801. We'll just call it 800 just because I like zeros. That's 6. Now you can see. Math, I like calculators. All right, so our total is 650 after cooking. So remember, our raw weight here was 681. That was just because I wanted to note it. I wanted to see for myself the difference, what it was before and after cooking. So 650 is really what we need for our recipe to complete it. So here we go. Get out of here, go back into our recipe, Jenny's meatloaf. I hope this is good. All right, so I'm going to click the pen and paper here, which is right next to the little star, pen and paper, which is edit. Now I'm going to put in the total servings the total weight, 650 minus the dish. Done. And then update. Okay, so from here, it's literally however many grams you want to eat. Like, you don't have to try to divide this up into servings. You can just say, I want 145 grams of the meatloaf, and then there it is. So there's those calculations. The macros for this are from the raw, So, I mean, you're putting in the cooked grams of how many you're going to put on the plate, but the macros are for the raw side of things here. So I might just have a little snack for myself here. This looks like a good little 85-gram lunch snack, and so that's pretty good macros here for meatloaf. Low in fat compared to regular, and low in carbs, lower. And then obviously the more lean meat selection you have is better for your macros. I think 93 on beef is good. It gives you some fat enough to where you can, it's there, but the really super lean turkey and things like that, that's, it's not going to be as good. It's not going to taste as good as you want it to. So just keep that in mind. You can make room for this, and you can definitely have things like this and be satisfied. So hopefully this helped you. Just going to log that. Log as a single item, and then there it is. So I had meatloaf and meatballs today, so that's a good day. All right.